Hi, this is Ivanova Smith, and I want to talk to you today about the word mental retardation. For a lot of people, this word brings up a lot of feelings. I know it sure does for me. I've had to experience this word most of my life since I came to this country. I actually came here from Latvia when I was 5.5. So that word, a lot of people now see it as a slur, and we want to ban the R word and stop people from using it. And I understand, because that people use it against me in really harmful ways, and I can see how that word has been used as a dagger for people in our community. But there's one other thing, and I think it's something that history has taught me, that I really want us to think about with this word and how we combat it. And one of the things that we learn from history is the word mental retardation was not always a bad word. It actually was the politically correct word for intellectual and developmental disabilities back in the 1950s. Before then, people used the word feeble-mindedness to refer to people with intellectual or developmental disabilities. And what that meant was weak-minded, because feeble meant weak. And so when people started seeing that word become a slur, and it started being used very negatively, they changed it to mental retardation to try to be more respectful, just like we advocate now. The problem was the politically correct word of the 1950s, mental retardation, stopped being politically correct, and it started being used as a slur too. And so this made me think. It started being a slur in the 1980s and 90s, and it made me think. It seems like it's not the language that's causing the issue here. It's the attitude around people like me, the attitude around people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. It's the idea that it's wrong to need help, that it's wrong to be different, that it's wrong to have a childlike personality, that these things are seen as wrong, that these things are seen as bad. Because that's how the word is used today. It's used to be a negative. And so it puts our community as a negative. And I think the best way to handle this is not just banning a word. We tried that. We tried banning the word feeble-minded. And look what happened. We just replaced it. And so instead of banning the word, what I want people to do is look at the attitudes. Look at how they view people like me. Do you see me as a burden? Do you see other people with disabilities as a burden? Do you see other people with disabilities as an other? By advocating for positive portrayals of people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, I think that would have a lot more to changing people's attitudes about people in my community than just banning a word. Because if we just focus on the word itself and not the attitude behind these words, and not look at how people treat people with intellectual and developmental disabilities, that intellectual and developmental disability is going to be just as offensive as the R word in a couple decades from now. And we don't want that. We want our community to be seen as positive. We want our community to be seen as people that have value, people who have abilities, people that have intelligence. I have intelligence, and all people with intellectual disabilities have intelligence. We just express it in a different way, and that needs to be celebrated. And so instead of just focusing on banning the word, let's change attitudes about the IDD community. And that's the message I wanted to send to you guys. So thank you for being at the event. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be there in person, but I'm glad that people are fighting for the right of all people with intellectual disabilities to be heard and to be seen as equal members of society. That's what we really need to focus on, is true justice for people with IDD. So thank you. Please, that's what I want you to do. Spread the word today. Spread the word about the awesomeness of people with IDD. Thank you, and good night.